Ladies and gentlemen, for tonight's review, the part of Cody will be played by the Grinch, because he hates Christmas. See what I did there? Hello everyone, I'm Dan the Man. Well, the first full week of Big Brother is over, and boy is there a lot to talk about, so let's get right to it. First of all, Meghan leaving. I touched up on this last review with my spoilers, but I figured I should comment on it now that it is officially aired. First off, Jessica's racist comment, or lack thereof. Some seem to have missed it, but Jessica did not call Alex a panda. She called her Pow Pow, in reference to the previous Big Brother contestant from Big Brother 16, who went by that nickname. Some argue Jessica might have called Alex that at a different time than BB showed, and it's true since the feeds were not up or at the mercy of the editors, but what we saw Meghan tell Alex was basically word for word what Jessica said, minus replacing Pow Pow with Panda, so I'm inclined to think that's what happened and she misheard her. Meghan even commented about it on her Twitter, saying she misheard and was trying to put it on Alex, which would seem to apply for whatever things Jessica said, and she has said a lot of bad things about Alex. She never said anything racist about her. I do think Meghan legitimately thought that is what she heard, but I don't think her intentions for telling Alex were completely honorable. She was clearly trying to stir things up to get the heat off of her and onto Alex, and it backfired. I do feel bad for Meghan, especially if she did have PTSD, like she said in interviews after leaving the house. But at the same time, if you're going to tattle on someone for making racist comments, you should make damn sure you heard them correctly. People have had their lives ruined by sub-accusations on Big Brother, so Meghan was kinda reckless. I should also note that while most people, including Alex apparently, seem to have never heard panda used as a racist term, I do remember a jackass I worked with at one time using it that way, and Urban Dictionary does back up it's a racist term. So again, I do think Meghan really did think that Jessica was making a racist term. So with all of that out of the way, on to the nominations and evictions. Cody made BB history by being the first HOH to nominate 5 people in 1 week. I would feel bad for him, but honestly, he seemed to be getting off on it. Alex was lucky to win the veto, or else she would have gone home, but I think Cody had buyer's remorse the second he did it. There's a bizarre love triangle going on between Cody, Jessica, and Alex. It's strange, but surprisingly entertaining, as first Cody and Jessica will have gross PDA. Cody then goes and tries to work with Alex, who I guarantee you is who he wishes he was having a showmance with. Alex basically shuts him down. He seems to get more turned on by it. Jessica then gets mad, but continues to make out with Cody anyway. Those three are so weird. I was kind of surprised Cody put Alex up at all. He clearly gave in to his alliance's wishes with that one, but I think Paul was always his target, even when Meghan was still on the block. Which brings us to Paul and his stupid safety medallion, or whatever it's called. I don't respect it enough to look it up right now. I'll try to keep this rant as short as possible, because I could go on for 10 videos about this, but that whole thing is a steaming load of something I won't mention, as I'm trying not to cuss this time. Make no mistake, Big Brother knew Paul was going to be the one to win that. He came in with an existing following, and with the feeds not even going up before then, no one else was going to have a chance to build up any kind of following to give Paul a run for his money. Christmas was the only one with any kind of fan following before going into the house, but it was never going to translate into enough votes for her to make things competitive with Paul in this case. And BB knew that. Even if a notable group of fans have gotten mad at the clear intent to manipulate them and voted for someone else, they would have just split their votes between 15 different people. So Paul had this one so much, they should have just given him it and killed the facade that this was not predetermined. Do I think this is a sign of Big Brother rigging it for Paul to win? No, I don't think that. And I'm sure if somehow someone else had won the safety, they would have honored it. But they knew that wasn't going to happen. Big Brother spent $25,000 with their temptation to get someone to let him back in. Not to mention Paul almost surely gets a bigger stipend, as most returning house guests do. They'd not spend that kind of money to see Paul voted out immediately, so they concocted the friendship bracelets to help him make connections and so some would feel he owned them. And then they gave him 3 weeks of safety to help ensure he was not going to go anywhere anytime soon. It's completely unfair, and given Paul likely would have gone home had he not had it, Christmas got screwed by even being in that situation. She and Jillian, like Cameron last week, became collateral damage of Big Brother's quest to ensure Paul stuck around for a while. And that brings me to Cody's nomination of Paul. He did the right thing wanting Paul gone. It was a smart move to make, given he didn't know Paul had safety. Where he screwed up was he left his alliance feeling betrayed as he didn't tell them his plan or that Christmas was his backup plan. He did tell Jessica shortly before the nominations he was thinking of putting one of them up, but that was it. For one, it leaves your alliance feeling they can't trust you, and for the other, how can you be sure they will do it if you haven't talked to them first? I do think if Paul had stayed up, even though Cody's alliance didn't want him up initially, once he was up and they realized they could get him out and be free of having to deal with him and a vet, they would have done it anyway. But why risk it? Even if Paul didn't have safety, he was leaving it open to backfire. I do think Cody partially kept quiet until right before he did, because as a fan himself, he knew that Big Brother was with the vets and was hoping to not give them too much of a chance to buck it up, but that didn't work out for him. Putting up Christmas was worse, as I don't think anyone was even considering her up, and while the vote came fairly close, and she was in danger for a lot of the week, asking the alliance to take out an ally without running it by them before doing it was always a bad move. When this started, I had Cody as an early pick to win, but I think I called it wrong. Obviously anything's possible, but the guy has no ability to work with others and no social skills. He alienated his own alliance with his move and showed he can't be trusted, and with his less than sparkly personality, almost everyone now dislikes him, save Jessica and Alex, so I can't imagine he will win, even if he does somehow make it to finale night. Before talking about the votes, I feel I should mention Christmas' injury. Not the first time someone was hurt, but definitely the first time it was anything that threatened someone being able to stay in the house. They didn't show the full extent of her injury, but after her initial visit, she went back on Wednesday for an MRI, and she has broken her foot in 3 places. She also will be going back next week and apparently be getting pins put in. Suffice it to say, this will affect her playing in comps. It's not all competitions are physical, but if she is getting pinned, she will likely be told to stay laid up, and Big Brother has said they will not be changing any comps, and Christmas will have to sit out if it's determined her injury is a risk. I respect that Christmas doesn't want to give up, but I'm not sure if Big Brother should keep her in. She's clearly not out of the woods on if she can stay the duration, and even if she was willing to sign some kind of waiver, Big Brother's not going to risk any further injury, and it looking like it's their fault. So she could have to leave yet, although likely not. Jillian went home fair and square, or as fair and square as someone could in the ridiculous circumstances this week. She didn't do much to save herself, and Christmas hustled hard to get the votes to stay. But given Jillian could continue to play, and Christmas is at best sitting a lot of the challenges out going forward, I'm not sure if BB shouldn't have just sent her home. Invite her back next season, sure, but this is a mess they got right here. I feel bad for Christmas, especially since it wasn't really her fault she got injured, but as great of a drama as it makes, I'm not sure BB is making the right call. I guess we're going to have to wait and see. So on to the votes. Was Jillian the right choice? Personally, I don't think so. On the one hand, I feel bad for her, which could be clouding my judgment on this. She was a pawn next to 4 different people, and I think she could have stayed sitting next to Meghan, Alex, or even Paul. Not to mention if not for the golden apple giving Josh immunity this week, he likely would have been up next to her also. I think Cody's real plan, even if Meghan had stayed, was always to try and get Paul up. But who knows if he would have gotten that far, since if Meghan had stayed, Alex may have never played in veto, so things could have gone down much differently. And even if he had, I think Paul would have still gone home. It took an unprecedented amount of 3 people coming down for Jillian to be sitting next to someone she couldn't win against. And I also think if it weren't for Christmas' foot getting broken, thus making her more sympathetic and less of a comp threat than she was before, was a big point in tipping the votes in her favor. And then Julie all but ignores Jillian in the final interview, and no final words from the other house guests for her. Poor girl. But even without that, I think leaving Christmas in was a mistake. Even with her foot being broken, the girl is dangerous. She is playing the game hard and is there to win. She is not there to make the jury, to get a social media and Z-list fame. Hell, she already has those things anyway. And she's not there to get far, but lose, or to get America's favorite. She is there to win. She will do what it takes to win, and compared to Jillian, who was not much of a threat to do anything, I think it's a mistake that the majority of the House who kept her will end up regretting on down the line. Which brings us to the head of household competition. The show ended before the head of household was crowned, so if you don't want to hear spoilers, stop now. Really, stop now. Last chance. Paul won head of household, meaning someone else who was likely never going to go up this week will now go home thanks to him sticking around again to compete in a week he was never in danger because Big Brother has a fetish for returning players. As of this writing, I've already watched the feeds to the point that I know who Paul put up, so I'm not going to speculate, as that would be silly since I already know the answer to that question. But I will say this, his initial moves as head of household are likely not what most would expect. Thanks for watching. I'll be back next week with my thoughts on whoever gets to go as collateral damage to Paul's head of household, and whatever insanity happens up to that point. I'm Dan the Man, and I'll see you next time.